Welcome to Kermode Uncut. A week or so ago, I did a blog about Shia Labeouf's new art project, All My Movies, in which he live streamed himself watching all his movies, which I thought was actually a kind of endearing thing to do. And I was just looking through your responses to my post, and one caught my eye. It's not actually specifically to do with Shia Labeouf's project. It's something which is more general, but I wanted to address it here. So it's from Kate, and the response says this. What I find very curious about this blog post is your comment, you only have to make a film, I have to watch it. Now this was in response to the fact that I'd said watching a film is a very different discipline to making a film. I had an argument with a filmmaker once in which he said, well, I understand what the film's about because I made it. And I said, yeah, but I actually watched it. And I quite admired the fact that Shia Labeouf sat down and watched all his own movies, something generally only a critic would have to do. Kate goes on. I fully appreciate that watching a film can be difficult. However, never underestimate, even on the worst films, what a painful, challenging and emotionally draining experience making a film can be. Film is a very lowbrow art form. For every highly creative decision you make, there is also the panic of wondering if there is a spare plug for the kettle. My latest film involved bankrupting myself to the point where I had to move back in with my parents and living in fear of my landlord because I spent my rent money on catering. She continues, films can be hard to watch, but just remember, you only have to watch them. We have to make them. If we're lucky, sometimes they can be quite good. Now, this response struck me for a number of reasons. Firstly, because, as I've said before, but I'll say again, I absolutely understand that making a film is a nightmare. I mean, I've been on film sets, I've seen the chaos. There's an old maxim in filmmaking, which I think may be attributed to Terry Gilliam, I'm not quite sure, which is that a film in production is like a ship on the brink of mutiny, and it is the job of the director to bring it safely into port without the loss of money and or life. And if you can make art while you're doing that, well, good luck to you. Now, I have always said as a film critic that the worst film I have ever seen I could not have made. Incidentally, the worst film I've ever seen is a film called Rug Suckers from Mars, also known as Oversexed Rug Suckers from Mars. I mean, it's beyond terrible, but I could never have made it. And I'm very clear that it's not the job of the film critic to be able to make movies. Yes, the worst films I've ever seen took a lot of care and attention. People don't set out to make bad films. I mean, look at the career of Ed Wood. He actually set out to make art. That's kind of why he's so charming. I have yet to meet a filmmaker who could write a film review with the eloquence and wit of Philip French. Actually, I've yet to meet anyone who could do that. Philip French was the master of the profession. Or look at Roger Ebert, his extraordinary breadth of knowledge and his wonderful turn of phrase. Now, Roger Ebert did, of course, do some movie making. He worked with Russ Meyer. I'm not entirely sure that that improved his film criticism, although it clearly gave him an insight into the filmmaking process. But filmmaking and film watching are different skills. So, Kate, I absolutely agree with your point. Even really bad films are really, really hard to make. And anyone who can get a film financed and get a film finished is doing something that I could never do. That said, sitting through 10, 12, 14 films a week and honestly responding to them without going mad is not something every filmmaker could or would want to do. And that is the key.